Welcome to our annual recap, the top trademark trends of 2022. There were a lot of trademark developments and stories this year. You're going to hear me focus on what I think are the most significant ones and a little bit the most fun ones, because we like to try to keep it entertaining here as well during the course of 2022. The USPTO backlog is unfortunately a topic that we have to keep talking about, and it is my number one story of the year in the world of trademarks. The backlog continues to grow. Pendency for a new application when it's filed is currently taking at least 8 months, and on average, in our experience, close to 10 months. Even though the record filing numbers have come down a little bit from those record years in 2021 and 2020, filings are still very high. And in fact, there are more live registrations in the USPTO's register than ever before. All of this is feeding into the current backlog situation. Now, a new development on this is that in December, the USPTO flipped the switch on a new rule, which gives applicants only 3 months to respond to most office actions, where previously applicants had been given 6 months. This is going to be a big change, mostly for applicants, but also for the USPTO. And it's one of the reasons that I think the backlog will continue to grow before it gets better. Second big story of the year is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has several IP cases on its docket this term. They've already heard a copyright matter involving Andy Warhol and a print or painting of Prince, and we can expect a ruling on that sometime in 2023. And several other cases are yet to be heard. One is a patent case. One is an interesting trademark case about the ability to enforce trademark rights in the US for activities that occur outside the United States. And then the big, really interesting one is Jack Daniels suing a dog toy manufacturer over their Bad Spaniels toy that is a parody of a bottle of Jack Daniels. Very interesting to see how this case will turn out, and these parody cases keep coming up. So this is an important issue, even though it's also a fun and interesting issue. So big news to come out of the Supreme Court. The Queen of Christmas. Now, this is not on its own a huge story, but it got a lot of media coverage, so I want to touch on it here. Mariah Carey had applied to register the Queen of Christmas, that phrase or slogan, in connection with a wide variety of products and services. A singer who has used that phrase for many years filed to block or oppose the application. Ms. Carey's legal team did not file an answer, and in fact, a notice of default was issued against Mariah Carey, and she has now lost or abandoned that application. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that she can't still be referred to as the Queen of Christmas. It means that she may have less of an ability to license that mark and to enforce it against others. So be careful what you read in the media about that story. But a fun one, everybody was paying attention to the Queen of Christmas. Other celebrity trademark stories were also in the news throughout the year. One compelling one was the release of an album by Drake and 21 Savage that used a fake cover of a Vogue magazine on the cover of the album and in promotions for the album. Vogue, or its publisher, quickly took action to sue. The album cover has already been withdrawn, that artwork. Now, if you shop for it online, you'll see different artwork for the album Her Loss. But the litigation may still continue as the parties, I believe, are still fighting over money and damages. There were lots of other celebrity stories in the news, but they're really just like any other trademark stories, except for they get media coverage, and the media coverage is almost entirely inaccurate or not complete. And so be very careful about what you read about trademark cases for celebrities in the news, unless it's coming from a reputable legal source. Metaverse and NFT filings. This was, one of the big stories of 2021. NFTs were exploding, Facebook rebranded to Meta, and there were tons of filings in this space. Those filings have now peaked in early 2022, and they have dropped off pretty significantly. Who knows what will become of the metaverse and NFTs? Will we still be talking about them at all a year or two from now? I remember things like virtual worlds, Pokemon Go. We've talked about some of these issues several times over the years, and they've never really reached the intensity or critical mass that would warrant all the attention they received. Offensive names were finally rebranded. This process had started several years ago, but 2022 saw the football team in Washington, D.C., or their suburbs where they play, take the field as the Commanders, much to the chagrin of many of the fans who were perfectly happy with the generic Washington football team that they had been referred to. And also the baseball team in Cleveland, shout out to all my Cleveland friends, took the field last summer as the Guardians. I don't really love either of those names, to be honest with you, but I will give them credit that at least they are unique names, so they present more branding opportunities for the teams and the leagues. Finally, a topic that it seems we have to touch on every year is trademark scams. They aren't going anywhere. I've been writing, speaking, blogging, making videos, etc. about these scams for many years. It's the most traffic I get on my website, unfortunately, because the scams continue to be prominent and prevalent. And in fact, new scams evolved in 2022. The latest one makes it look like it's using the USPTO's own seal and own letterhead and a watermark on a piece of paper. It's really, really frustrating. And unfortunately, applicants and registrants get bombarded with all types of scams. Always be careful. Always make sure you understand what it is you're receiving before you respond. Official correspondence from the USPTO will only come by email. And this is another one of many great reasons to work with an attorney so that they can help advise you about these scams. So that's a wrap on 2022 top trademark trends. Looking ahead to 2023, we're obviously keeping our eye on those Supreme Court cases, on these latest scams. Maybe there'll be something new replacing the fad of NFT and metaverse filings. And finally, what will the economic uncertainty that we've entered into, what will be the ramifications with trademark filings? They are down quite a bit from the last 2 years, but they are still at near record highs, meaning that filings in 2022 probably will have topped every year in history other than the last 2 years. Will filings grow or will they continue to shrink a little bit? We'll have to wait and see. And what will be the impact on that backlog at the USPTO? You can always stay tuned on the latest developments by following our YouTube channel. You subscribe at ericpelton.tv.